I want to stand where famous people have stood. So I'm on the trail today for Roadside Markers, Ohio. This was the stomping grounds of the Indian chief Tecumseh, which I say
Old Town,
wrong every time.
Ohio. Just down the street on the left is a Tecumseh motel, where Tecumseh hung out. There's only a sign on this side of town. The other side, going south, you don't know what you're passing through. It's very funny. Tell you, you got to be a real sleuth to find these places. This is the site of the old Chillicothe. It was a famous, says, Shawnee village destroyed 4 times by pioneer forces. It remained Ohio's leading Indian town until 1807. On the rise to the west stood the Bark Council House. On the rise to the west. Oh, okay. So it's now the Tecumseh Motel. Kind of distressed. And here's a memorial to the Shawnee leader, Tecumseh.
It's Tecumseh, Sue.
Nice. Erected in 1931. He was born in March 1768 at the Great Springs, a few arrow flights southeast of Old Chillicothe. So he was born in this area, just a few arrow flights south. But this cornfield contains a mound. And I know all this partly from the nice lady at the park who was telling me about it. And we may not even be able to see it. She said the corn was so high. It's probably not a large mound. Let's see. It's somewhere in here. I walked up the side hoping maybe there'd be a clearing or some way to a higher elevation to see. Oh, yeah. No. Thought that might be a way in. But we're standing somewhere near it. And anyway, there's a mound here. And it's said that Daniel Boone, when he was captured by the Shawnee, was held prisoner here. And then we're going to go to the place where he escaped and ran through Clifton. Ah, crap. This is the only corn I can see above. Comes up to my hip. Well, I think there is a... Maybe you can see something. We'll go back to the beginning. I didn't realize it at first. There's 4 different plaques here. This one was erected in 1931. Probably that's its companion. This is about Daniel Boone. So the 27 of them, they were near a salt lake or a river, I think, that there was salt. Anyway, they occupied it, realizing it was economically strategic. And then they were taken prisoner by the Shawnees because it was their stream, lake, whatever. And they were brought here. Isn't that cool? And held prisoner in that cornfield. Boone and 11 were adopted by the Shawnees. 10 were taken over to the Bullskin Trail to Detroit and held for ransom. The fate of 6 is unknown. Probably died. And this was erected in 1906. It says this stone marks site of old Chillicothe, the primitive town of the Shawnee Indians, Tecumseh chief. The famous gauntlet run by Simon Kenton in 1778 was from Sexton's Hill to the gulch of the council house, which stood 300 rods west of this site. No idea who Simon Kenton is, but we'll find out.
John Sexton was a friend of Daniel Boone's and was also held captive. Daniel Boone escaped. He helped him, but Saxton remained and was, they say, tortured by the Indians, having to do all sorts of physical feats, including running the gauntlet, which almost killed him.
Brigadier General in the British Army. He was appointed general. He fought against the Americans. Huh. From here, I would be able to see the mound a little better. I'm not sure, but it might be that all over there. I'm gonna climb on top of Faith and see if I can get a picture. But I stopped on this side of the road, and here are two more plaques. I've been looking for plaques all day. This says the Bullskin Trail. North from the Ohio River to Detroit, here joined the Kenyon and Scioto, S-C-I-O-T-O trails east and Winchester Trail southeast. Greene County Historical Society put this up in 1931. So I'll look that up. I'm not sure what the Bullskin Trail is.
According to Wikipedia, this was first an Indian trail called the Bullskin Trace. It was used by such famous people as Daniel Boone, Samuel Kenton, and Tecumseh. It ran from a British fort in Detroit. So this was the road they brought Daniel Boone up from Kentucky when they captured him and brought him to the council house here.
From 1768 to 1774, of wigwams of Chief Puxinwa and Methitosa, parents of Tecumseh. So this was his birthplace. Born here. Couple arrows west of here. And the council house was on that mound. We're going to crawl on top of Faith and see what we can see. Okay, I am going to assume under those lines, can you see there is a rise in the hillside. There's also a lot of traffic here. I can't go up any higher. But there it is. That's where it all sat.
Now I'm in search of the place where he escaped, crossed the Little Miami, and got away. So we're now traveling on the Bullskin Trail.
Daniel Boone was escaped. Is it down here?
Yeah, right down there at the, there's a pull-off down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Don't get killed. Part of Clifton Gorge. Now, I haven't found that plaque, but it's in here, this area. This is the Little Miami he had to cross to escape. This is a beautiful little park. They have wonderful trails. I'm just going to take it. We're walking on top of the cliffs, but it's so deep and dark here you can barely see it. Way down there is the Little Miami. Do you see it? Whoa. I think this is called the Blue Hole. Let's see the sign. Oh. Pool Overlook. Oh, this is it. This is it. In 1778, a party of men led by Daniel Boone was captured at the Blue Licks in Kentucky by a band of Shawnee Indians and taken to the principal Shawnee town of Chillicothe, now Old Town, Ohio, on the Little Miami River. A few months later, Boone managed to escape, returning to Boonesboro in time to warn of an impending Indian attack. Cornelius Darnell, another member of Boone's party, escaped sometime later. The Indians soon discovered his flight and gave chase. They caught up with him here on the north side of the Narrows. Facing certain death by torture, Darnell chose instead to leap the chasm. Oh my. Although he fell short of the far side, he managed to grasp hold of the trees, which then were on top of the cliffs, and so halt his fall. From here he was able to climb to the top of the cliff and escape. So it's not Daniel Boone. Oh my Lord. I'm afraid of heights. It's not Daniel Boone. It's one of his compatriots. Oh my Lord. You can't see the distance, but he jumped from there over to here. That's amazing. Look at that. It's cut out well, there were glaciers clashed and formed a gap, and then water was diverted down into the gap, and then the glaciers began to melt, and it formed this deep gorge.